You're probably wondering, if you're watching on YouTube right now, man, this guy keeps on wearing sweaters. He's just wearing sweaters. One, they're my granddad's. My granddad, love him to death. Will always love my pawpaw. So I will honor him by wearing these sweaters. Not only that, they're comfortable, and it's freezing outside. It is legit freezing, and it's that time to wear those sweaters. It's winter time. So guess what? We're going to keep on wearing the sweaters here in the war room for Pigskin Frenzy, and we're going to keep rocking with these sweaters here, and they look nice to wear for this podcast and this episode. So, doesn't matter. So if you're probably wondering about that, that's what it is. We're going to don a Christmas sweater here shortly in a couple of weeks. Guys, NFL day today, and we're ready to rock and roll. It was an exciting Thanksgiving, and we are ready to rock and roll on that, and I am excited to talk about 3-1. That is the number of games that I got right and wrong. My Pigskin wins were 3, my losses were 1. So we're going to talk about that, recap Week 13. We're going to preview and predict a stellar Week 14 slate of games, see who's in and who's out with the Pigskin Frenzy NFL injury report, and as well, talk about the hit that we saw in the Jaguars-Texans game. We're not going to talk about the game, but we're going to talk about the hit and how the NFL is disciplining players, not just with that hit, but in general, because it brought the discussion, and I needed to discuss this because it just put it on my heart. Not only that, the Bears coaching search is getting really hot, and some names are being thrown out. I'm curious to see who's going to get thrown out, and we're going to figure it out who's going to be linked to the Chicago Bears head coaching job. With that being said, welcome to Pigskin Frenzy on this beautiful Thursday afternoon. Thank you for joining us. I'm Joel Norris, and whether you're watching on YouTube, listening on Spotify, listening on Podbean, or listening on Apple, a big thank you for taking some time out of your Thursday to just sit back, watch, and listen to some NFL coverage presented by me. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, like each episode, leave comments down below. Spotify, Podbean, and Apple, all you got to do is just share around with others and follow on there as well. X and Instagram, just type in Pigskin_Frenzy, at Pigskin_Frenzy. Follow up the pages there. You're going to get episode updates. You're going to get news and highlights from across college and NFL football. You're going to get trivia questions on Instagram stories. Go and answer today's NFL question as well as all things up to date for Pigskin Frenzy. Guys, the website, www.pigskinfrenzy.weebly.com. There you'll find all things up to date for Pigskin Frenzy. You'll find a home and about me page. Learn more about me as your podcast host. There you will get the contact info, name, info, question. I'll answer it off the air, on air, off air if need be, as well as there's our platforms page. All the platforms page I just mentioned, you will go and click on which one's your favorite listening style of the show, as well as our store, which is coming soon, and our affiliations page, which is coming soon. All things up to date for Pigskin Frenzy is coming soon on pigskin.weebly.com. So pigskinfrenzy.weebly.com. NFL day today, ready to rock and roll. I'm so excited about doing this show today. I am just really excited. I'm ready to rock and roll. I'm ready to just push forward and just talk about what's happening, especially like in the NFL right now in this week. We have a loaded lineup of games that we are covering, especially in college, especially in NFL. Also, I don't know if you guys are hearing some things about big announcement, but there's a big announcement, and it is coming February 13th. Just wanted to let you guys know, February 13th, 2025. It is the Thursday after the first Thursday after the Super Bowl, and after we conclude our NFL coverage. There's a huge announcement on that episode. We're going to recap the NFL season on that episode and tell you about everything going on in the future for Pigskin Frenzy. You're not going to want to miss it. Big announcement there, and it's going to be pretty exciting and pretty interesting, and it may just change the trajectory of our show. So pretty exciting news there. Also, big announcement before we honestly just kick off this podcast. Here at Pigskin Frenzy on for the holidays, December 19th will most likely be our last show of the year. So December 19th will be our last Pigskin Frenzy of 2024. I will keep up to date with everything, and cover games during that time. Don't get me wrong, I'll post videos on Instagram and on X about what we are doing and what games we are covering and who I am picking for the week, and we'll recap some games and everything. They go live on some of those socials too. So keep up to date with Pigskin Frenzy, Pigskin_Frenzy on X and Instagram. So we'll keep up to date on that as well. We'll keep up to date with everything there. But we will, have our last college show on the 17th of 2024, and on the 19th we will, cover everything on there. So on the 17th, we'll go over bowl games. We'll preview and predict bowl games and Pigskin Frenzy Bowl Mania a little bit. Some of the key bowl games, and we'll cover the first round of the playoffs of college football. And then on the NFL side of things, we'll cover those week slate of games, especially for Christmas and New Year. So we'll post it on there. We're just going to take a break because we are going down for the holidays. So we are taking trips down for the holidays, taking a break for the holidays, and for Christmas, I'm going to be down in Mississippi seeing my family. But I will post from down there, and I will post and keep everything up to date for coverage on these games that we are covering for the show. So just huge announcements there. Last episode of the 2024 year is on Thursday, December 19th, 2024. So with that all being said, let's talk about some football. I know those are some announcements, and we needed to keep up to date with everything. But let's keep up with some announcement, some games, and let's cover some of these games and get ready for the NFL week for Week 14. Busy week. I got Conference Frenzy coming up this weekend. I got games coming up for NFL as well, and it all starts tomorrow. Spoiler alert, or I'm sorry, tonight. It starts tonight. Spoiler alert, we are covering the Lions and Packers rematch. So it all starts tonight. We're going to talk about that game here in a little bit, but we're going to just take a step back and recap Week 13. There were two exciting Thanksgiving games, 2 exciting Sunday games. We're going to talk about those games right now. So 3-1 in my NFL picks. Let's go to the first 3 games that I got right. Starting off on Thanksgiving, last Thanksgiving, and I hope everyone had a beautiful and awesome Thanksgiving as well. Had plenty of turkey, plenty of food, and spent time with family, and blessed the Lord and praised the Lord on a beautiful, chilly Thanksgiving, and wherever you guys are. So, but let's talk about some football. Let's talk about the Lions and the Bears, because this one was very, very interesting, because out of everything that happened, and it's gonna get a little bit fussy a little bit for the Chicago Bears here, because we're going to talk about the Bears here in a little bit too. So we're going to add the coaching search rumors in here a little bit. So it was the Lions and the Bears. Lions were all over them in the first half. The Bears were honestly putting up some fight, and I will admit they were putting up some fight in the second half, later in the game, and we were looking and we were thinking to ourselves, like, man, they're going off, right? They are trying to fight and try to get this win. The score at the end of it all was 23-20. The Bears had the ball at the very end, and they were going to try to go for a field goal. Caleb Williams called his own number, went down to the field. They had enough time to call a timeout, and the clock hit 0 with 1 timeout left, and the Bears lost the game that way. Final score: Lions 23, Bears 20. I got the game right because I picked the Lions. Let's talk about the Lions before we talk about the Bears and the clock management and the coaching and all that stuff here in a little bit. Let's talk about the Lions. The Lions had some positive circle moments. They are the best team in the NFL right now, in my opinion. Now, they got some flaws like everybody else does. It's a tight competition in the NFC between the Lions, their counterpart in the NFC North, the Vikings, as well as the Philadelphia Eagles. So those are the 3 best teams in the NFC right now. But let's talk about the Lions and what they did right in this ball game. And they looked honestly pretty solid on paper. The only thing that they didn't do really, they got outgained in yardage was passing, and it was not by much. Total yards, 405 total yards compared to the Bears 301. Passing, Bears had 223, Lions had 211, but rushing, they dominated. 194 compared to their 78, and they had 5.9 yards per play compared to their 5.1 yards per play. They were efficient on third down with 514. These were some positive circle moments from this team. They were 100% perfect on fourth down. They only had 2 sacks in this ball game, and they had 1 crucial fumble, but that's about it. They ate up in time of possession, though. 35 minutes and 14 seconds compared to their 24 minutes and 46 seconds. They allowed 2 sacks in the game. The only really negative circle moment that this team has had, well, 2 negative circle moments, I would say. 6 penalties for 79 yards. That is rough. They got to clean that up. And not only that, they also kind of let their foot off the gas in the second half, just a tiny bit. I think the Lions just kind of let their foot off the gas. I think they've had a problem with doing that, just kind of letting up a little bit. And it's happened in quite a few games this season. And last Thursday on Thanksgiving was no exception. And I think they got to clean that up. I think that's a really big problem for the Lions. And in a game like tonight that they're playing on Prime, that could cost them at home. So if the Lions can figure out a way to play full quarters, 60 minutes of football, then they are the best team in the league, no doubt. Because when they are on their game and they're playing 4 quarters of 60 minutes of football, then who's going to stop them? Because they are at their best when they do that. But they let their foot off the gas so many times, and it worries me that they're going to drop some of these games. It really does. So I think that's the really big problem I have with Detroit right now, is they kind of let their foot off the gas in a lot of ways, and I think they need to clean that. They need to clean that up. And the penalties could be an issue as well. 6 penalties for 79 yards is a pretty big negative circle moments there. But I just mentioned the positive circle moments. I just mentioned the negative circle moments. This Lions team is solid. They have look. Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery are absolute animals. Led by Jared Goff. Jared Goff, 221 yards, 2 touchdowns, 21 for 34. David Montgomery had 21 carries, 88 yards. Jahmyr Gibbs had 9 carries and 87 yards. Jamison Williams had 18 yards, 2 carries on the ground. Amon-Ra St. Brown had 73 yards, 5 receptions. Sam Laporta had 2 touchdowns, 6 yards, and 3 receptions. Montgomery had 36 yards and 3 receptions. Gibbs had 17 yards, 2 receptions. And Tim Patrick had 48 yards, 2 receptions as well. Jamison Williams, 28 yards and 5 receptions. This team is elite. And they are proving that. Dan Campbell preaches true grit. And at the very end, they did show true grit on defense by breaking up the play and the Bears running out of time. The Bears losing this win was more on the Bears losing than the Lions winning. And you're going to think, okay, dude, the Lions are good. They are. I'm not saying that. But here's the problem. This was more about the Bears losing in this scenario. The Lions are good. The Lions played really well. They played really good in the first, up until the first part of the fourth quarter. Then they kind of let the game slip away from them a little bit, and they kind of let their foot off the gas. They kind of let their foot and eased it off the accelerator and put it on the brake a little bit. You do not pump the foot. Put your foot on the brake. You don't pump the brakes, man. You floor it. And I keep saying that. I said it on this show plenty of times on college and in NFL episodes that you have to put your foot on the accelerator in these type of games. You got to floor it. You have to, because if you don't floor it, then you're not going to get the sometimes you're not going to get the outcome that you want, which is a comeback victory for the other team. You have to put the foot on the accelerator and floor it. These games happen, and the game is not over until it's over, right? It is not over until it's over unless it's a really bad score. This score here, but from entering the fourth quarter, it wasn't over, right? So the Lions really have to get better at getting their foot off the gas. So the Lions tonight, they have the Packers. The Packers tonight at 7:15 or 8:15 Eastern, 7:15 Central on Amazon Prime. Kirk Herbstreit, Al Michaels on the call. They are on Amazon Prime. If you have an Amazon Prime subscription, go and get one. If you do already, tune into this game. It's an NFC North matchup. We covered this game in Week 9 on November 3rd, and we are covering it again because it is a solid football game, and I was waiting for the rematch. So Packers at Lions tonight, Amazon Prime on Thursday Night Football. We are covering that one. That is the game tonight for the Lions. They have a huge one tonight. We'll see how that goes there. So 23-20 was the final score. Let's go with the Bears really quick, and let's go into discussion there before we discuss the other 3 football games. The Bears. Let's talk about what they did right. Hold up, though. Before we get into Matt Eberflus, because there's breaking news out of that as well, let's talk about what happened before we do everything, right? Positive circle moments for the Bears. Caleb Williams, 20 for 39, 256 yards, 3 touchdowns passing. DeAndre Swift had 39 yards, 11 carries. Caleb Williams had 39 yards on the ground with 4 carries, 9.8 yards per rush. DJ Moore, a touchdown, 97 yards, 8 receptions. Keenan Allen had 2 touchdowns, 73 yards, and 5 receptions. DeAndre Swift, 35 yards, 2 receptions. Cole Kmet, 26 yards, 3 receptions, 25 yards and 2 receptions for Rome Odunze. The defense looked really, really good. They got to Jared Goff twice. They looked physical. TJ Edwards had 6 total tackles. Kevin Byard had 10 total tackles. Smith had 4. Dexter Sr. had 7. Tremaine Edmonds had 5 as well. Gordon had 4. So in the deep, and Jonathan Owens had 8. So they looked physical on defense. They played really physical on defense in the fourth quarter, especially coming back in this ball game. They made some crucial stops in the fourth quarter as well. So defensively, they looked really, really good. Offensively, they had this problem for the past few weeks in the NFC North against the Packers, against the Vikings, and now against the Lions. They come back and they get on tears and drives, and then they don't finish games. They don't complete their drives, and they don't complete their games. So we're going to get into that, but defensively they look solid. So that's a positive circle moment again. Caleb Williams was also a positive circle moment for this team. He looked good through the air. He made some good completions. He threw it to Keenan Allen, and Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, and the rest of the receiving room looked really, really good and helped him out in big ways. Play calling was good by Thomas Brown. So they looked really, really good in those areas. They looked physical on the line of scrimmage, a little bit better on the line of scrimmage. So those are some positive circle moments there. Let's go to the team stats really quick, though, because that tells a story, too. 223 yards passing compared to their 211, right? They outgained them in passing. That's a positive circle moment. 7 for 15 in third down efficiency. That's pretty good. And no turnovers. They didn't turn the ball over at all. So that's pretty good. They protected the football. Those are some positive circle moments. But let's get to the negative circle moments. And this leads into what I'm talking about the Chicago Bears. Number 1, 0% on fourth down. So when they had to go for it on fourth and go for it, they could not complete anything. That is 1. 8 penalties for 78 yards. That shoots themselves in the foot. 8 penalties for 78 yards is going to lose you some ball games, or it's on the verge of losing some ball games there. 78 rushing yards, they cannot run the ball for some reason. I don't know why. They have the backs, but they just don't run the ball, and they need to. I think they need to have a more balanced approach on offense. I've said that with Thomas Brown as the play caller, and they need to have more drive, more drive with running the ball and more balance on running the ball. Another one, 5 sacks. Again, 5 sacks. They got to Caleb Williams 5 times. That's going to be a disaster of a day on the line of scrimmage for you if you're going to, get sacked 5 times. Even though they looked more physical on the line of scrimmage in this ball game, they still allowed 5 sacks. That's a lot of sacks. He's the second most quarterback. He is the quarterback. He is number 2 in sacks right now. So he's the second quarterback to get sacked the most, behind Jameis Winston in the NFL right now. So 5 sacks allowed. That's not good. Not only that, the biggest one was clock management and finishing drives. That's the biggest negative thing that I can say about the Chicago Bears, and that falls on coaching. I said that, though. I said that falls on coaching a lot. I said that Matt Eberflus a couple of weeks back, or last week with the Vikings game, I said that he's got to do something. He has to do something. He's got to step up. I said that last week on last week's NFL show. Go and listen to it if you want to. It's on Thanksgiving Frenzy, episode 179. We're on 181 now. And I said he's got to do something. And what did he do at the end of the game? What did he do, guys? What did he do? I'll tell you what he did. He ended up just going for a deep play. They had time to call a timeout, didn't pay attention to the clock, and he ran the clock out with 1 timeout, and that's how they lost the game. The Bears were in prime position to kick a field goal and tie the game to send it into overtime, but he let the clock run out and didn't call a timeout beforehand. So final score 23-20. That's really it. Bears players were furious. They were furious. Matt Eberflus said that there wasn't anything wrong, that he felt like this was a game where it was improvement, that this was this is Matt Eberflus's 3rd season as Bears head coach, that it was improvement, it was time management, time management could have been better, but it was still a good game where I didn't think we don't really need to change anything and all this and stuff. That's the kind of talk that, one, that you either A, are about to lose your job. That's one. Or, and you just don't really care anymore. And or number two, that you believe, really, in reality, that you know, you feel like what you're doing is okay and what you're doing is right. Well, Monday rolls around after Thanksgiving, and Black Friday rolls around, and it was a Black Friday for him. Matt Eberflus was fired next day. So the Bears have fired head coach Matt Eberflus. They are looking for another head coach. We're going to talk about the coaching search here in a little bit after we recap those games and go over the Pigskin Frenzy NFL injury report and everything, but we will recap that later or preview that later in the show and talk about that here in a little bit. But the Bears have fired Matt Eberflus. Interim coach has been named, and it is play caller Thomas Brown. So he is now the interim coach for the Chicago Bears right now. The Bears are 4-8. They need to do something. Matt Eberflus was not the future of this team and wasn't the future, and they got to see who the future is to lead them in the right direction. They got the talent. They need the coaching at this point. And Matt Eberflus wasn't the guy in the future. He wasn't the guy. He wasn't helping them out in any way, shape, or form. This was the team with talent that had the shot at being in a wild card, and now they're going further away from that. They're losing close games. Time management's awful, and it's not what a head coach is supposed to do. Matt Eberflus has been given chance after chance after chance, and he has not taken the opportunity to get, he has not really taken advantage of those chances, and he's taken those chances for granted. So Matt Eberflus is gone. Thomas Brown is the interim coach. We will see about the coaching search and what happens there, but this was a tough Bears loss, and they felt like they had this win to upset the number one team in the NFC and and probably the best team in the National Football League. They had it, and it just slipped from them because of poor coaching and clock management. So final score of this game was 23-20. The Lions defeat the Bears. The Bears, let's see how they rebound coming up Sunday with Thomas Brown's first game as interim coach. Coming up Sunday, they play at 4:25 Eastern, 3:25 Central in San Francisco, the 49ers. So Bears at 49ers. Both of those teams are coming off of a loss. So let's see what happens there. But it's going to be quite interesting to see how the Bears, and respond, and how the 49ers responded to those two losses. Quite the interesting game coming up Sunday afternoon. 23-20 was the final score. Lions defeat the Bears, and I got that game right. Let's go with the other three games. Let's go with the Thanksgiving night game. Packers at Dolphins. I said that the Packers were going to win because I felt like this was a bad spot for the Dolphins. I'll tell you why I thought it was a bad spot for the Dolphins. One, they are 0-12 in cold weather and weather out of their environment and that they are used to. They are not good in cold weather. I've said that, and it's reminded me a lot of the Kansas City playoff game back in January. Final score of this game with the Packers, final score of this game with the Packers and Dolphins was 30, Packers, Dolphins 17. Packers defeated the Dolphins 30-17 on Thanksgiving night in Lambeau Field. Packers got a huge win over the Dolphins, and I got this game right. The Packers looked really, really good. Dolphins kind of stormed back a little bit late, but it was just the cold and frigid weather. They just wanted to get out of there at that point. So Packers really, honestly, outgained them in everything besides rushing. So kind of the opposite of the Lions and Bears. The Lions got outgained in passing by a hair. It was kind of the same thing as the Lions. Rather, I'm now looking at the stats. Same thing as the Lions, the Bears. They got outgained in passing, and it was pretty much, if you look at the notes here, pretty much a good passing game for the Dolphins, but at the same time, overall, on the stats and on paper and on the field, the Packers were just a more dominant team in this one. Jordan Love, 2 touchdowns, 274 yards, 21 for 28. He had a fantastic game. Josh Jacobs, 43 yards, 19 carries, a touchdown. Brooks had 28 yards, 3 carries. Jalen Reed, 23-yard run. Wilson had 20 yards, 2 carries. Tucker Kraft, 78 yards, 6 receptions. Josh Jacobs had 74 yards, 4 receptions. Christian Watson, 67 yards, 2 receptions. Wicks had 30 yards, 4 receptions. 2 touchdowns for Jalen Reed, 24 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 3 receptions. And, excuse me, Isaiah McDuffie, Xavier McKinney were workhorses. Quay Walker was a workhorse. 10 total tackles for Walker, 9 total tackles for McKinney, 10 total tackles for McDuffie. This defense was on fire in this game. And not only that, they got to Tua 5 times. So they sacked him 5 times. The defense came away with 5 sacks. So those were some of the positive circle moments. I mean, 5 sacks for this defense. They were physical on the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. They blocked really, really well. Jordan Love had a consistent rhythm, so that's a positive circle moment. He played really, really good. And the rushing yards were good. 114 yards on the ground. That's a positive circle moment there, too, for this team. 274 yards passing is good, even though they got outgained. 336 for the Miami compared to their 274. That's pretty good. But the total yards was almost pretty even. 388 to their 375. 114 rushing compared to their 39. And the yards per play was pretty solid. 7.3 compared to their 5.8. So 7.3 yards per play. That's almost a first down out of a second down. Converting on second down, getting a first down off of a second down almost each time. They looked really, really good on those plays. Third down efficiency was good, 5 for 11. They didn't really have to go for it much on fourth down, obviously. 7 penalties for 44 yards was something that they got to clean up, but not too bad. And it wasn't all that, eye-popping, right? But they had a balanced, creative attack against this team, and they looked physical in the cold in Lambeau. They were used to this environment, and that's why I picked the Packers to win this ball game. The Dolphins even outgained them in time of possession. But the thing is, they look good in the environment. They're used to the weather, and they look good and had a consistent rhythm and balanced attack on offense. They were just picking up where they left off in that 49ers football game. They looked good passing. They looked good running. Tucker Kraft was an amazing player in this game, and he didn't get a lot. Besides, the stat line is not eye-popping, but what he did blocking in this game was quite incredible. So Tucker Kraft, I'm giving him a lot of credit in this ball game as well. The defense looked really, really good. That was the main thing. They kind of slowed the Dolphins down on drives, 5 sacks, and they pressured Tua tremendously. So if you want to look at everything on, when it comes to the line of scrimmage and the defense and how they pressured Tua, that's probably one of the main reasons why they won this ball game. If you want to look at the negatives, really there's not a lot of negatives besides the penalties. 7 penalties for 44 yards. They got to clean that up. Other than that, that's really about it. They protected Jordan Love well. They protected the football really, really well, and they were used to this environment. Packers have to come to play tonight, though. They have a huge game against the Lions. They're not in a rematch in the NFC North against the Lions, divisional game, 9-3. The Lions are 11-1. They're going to try to tie the season series and not let them get swept by the Lions this season. They've already lost a game to the Lions in Lambeau. Now they got to go to Detroit to try to avenge that loss tonight on Prime, 8:15 Eastern, 7:15 Central on Amazon Prime, Thursday Night Football that we're covering. But the Packers look like a playoff football team. They really do. A consistent rhythm on balance. I'm not going to sit here and say, they're going to make it to the NFC Championship or the Super Bowl. Maybe they do. I don't know. But the Packers look really good and have a consistent rhythm going right now on defense and on offense right now. So for me, if I look at everything and look at everything going on right now, they look like a team that could be really, really good in the playoffs. So let's see how it goes. 30-17, Packers defeat the Dolphins. Let's talk about the Dolphins really quick before we go to these other 2 games. The Dolphins, it's just the environment. That's really it. They're not used to the cold. They're not good when they play in cold weather, and this game proved it once again. Now, did they score more points? Absolutely. Did they play about the same? Absolutely. They played about the same as they did in the Packers in the Chiefs game. Maybe a little bit better passing, just maybe a tiny bit better passing, but running the ball, they barely ran the ball. 39 rushing yards on the ground. That's not the best, obviously. 336 passing yards. They passed the ball well, but couldn't get anything going in terms of connecting and capitalizing on those drives. 4 for 14 on third down, 3 for 5 on fourth down, 5 sacks allowed. 4 for 14 is a negative circle moment on third down. 3 for 5 is somewhat of a positive moment on fourth down, but 4 for 14 on third down, they did not win on third down, and they did not do good on third down. 5 sacks allowed, not the best. They did not protect Tua at all. Those are drive killers, and 10 penalties for 75 yards, also drive killers. So that's a negative circle moments for this Dolphins team. They turned the ball over. That's another negative circle moment there. 1 fumble there. Other than that, they passed the ball well. Tua did his best. He was playing his best. He threw the ball and found open men and open receivers, and they were trying, and they gave an effort out there better than they did in January against the Chiefs in that playoffs game. So they did, yes, as I pick up my pen here if you're watching on YouTube. But they did their best. They did their best in effort sense, but effort can only get you so far. You got to execute, and they did not execute, and they can't execute when the temperatures are so frigid out there. They had that demeanor about them. They were ready to go home. They were ready to be done with this game, take a loss here, and go back and try to win win out. They're 5-7. They're the same record as the Cowboys. They're better than the Cowboys. Honestly, the Dolphins are. So the Dolphins have a shot, but they need to win out the rest of their games. They have a shot at winning and going to the AFC playoffs, but they have to win out the rest of their games. They really, really do. This was a game that was a bad spot. Okay, I understand. But now they can't afford to lose another game. Coming up this weekend, sum it up Sunday, 1 Eastern, noon Central. They have an AFC East matchup. The Bills have already clinched the AFC division, but they have a shot at going to the playoffs still. The Dolphins are not out of the playoff hunt yet. They have to play the Jets Sunday afternoon, 1 Eastern, noon Central, at home, home game against Miami, or against the New York Jets. I think the Miami Dolphins can pull that one out, go 6-7. The games that they have on their schedule now are the Jets Sunday, the Texans, 49ers, Browns, and then the Jets again. So you have a few winnable games there that you can win. I can say the Jets, the Browns, the Jets twice, and the Browns could be games that you probably could win, right? Texans and Niners are going to be tough. I think the Texans is going to be, if you circle the Texans one on December 15th, if you can pull that upset out, the Niners is going to be a little bit easier, especially with some of the injuries and the injury-ridden teams the Niners are going through right now. I think the Niners is going to be a little bit easier than the Texans. I think the hardest game remaining on their schedule is the Houston Texans. So the Dolphins have a shot, but they have to figure out a way to win all these games, win out. So if they win, they'll be 6-7. 10-7. They'll go 10-7, and they'll find a way to make a wild card spot in the first round of the playoffs. So that's a pretty good year for them if they can find a way to do it, and they have a shot at winning out all these games. It favors them a lot. Besides that Texans game, maybe they can still get in with that one loss. If they lose to the Texans, maybe they can still get in. I don't know, but the Dolphins need to figure out a way to try to win all those games and make it to the playoffs. Final score 30-17. Packers defeat the Dolphins on Thanksgiving night, and it was a pretty frigid night. So did not blame the Dolphins for taking a loss on that one, because they do not play really well in cold weather. So 30-17, Packers defeat the Dolphins. Dolphins have the Jets Sunday. Packers have the Lions tonight in a crucial NFC North rematch game on Prime. So let's go to these other games here on Sunday. Chargers and Falcons next up. Man, I'm going to be real with you, dog. Game was sloppy. Game was sloppy. It was a very sloppy game for both teams. And I'm not gonna say, look, going in was I'm doing I'm doing another Chargers game this week. So I'm doing the Chargers and the Chiefs, AFC West matchup and an AFC West rematch from week 4. They did not need this going into this game. Now, granted, I was right. This is the last game I got right for the NFL slate of games this past week. The Chargers won 17-13. Final score, Chargers 17, Falcons 13. The Chargers won, but this did not look good on both parts. They won, and a win's a win, but this was a performance they did not need to have going into Sunday Night Football this Sunday night against the Chiefs. Let's talk about the Chargers, though, in this one in Atlanta. Let's look at Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert, 147 yards, 16 for 23. He didn't have no touchdowns, no interceptions. A lot of field goals in this game, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of field goals from Dicker, the kicker. 100% on field goals. Good special teams day for J.K. Scott and Cameron Dicker. They looked really, really good. Gus Edwards, 32 yards, 6 carries. Vidal had 20 yards, 4 carries. Ladd McConkey, 117 yards, 9 receptions. Quentin Johnson, 12 carries, 2 receptions. Ladd McConkey was a force to be reckoned with. This defense played really, really good as well. They snagged 4 turnovers. This Jesse Minter defense did. He had 14 total tackles. Jefferson had 9 total tackles. Derwin James had 10 total tackles and an interception. If we look at May, he had 3 total tackles and an interception, and still had 2 interceptions with 3 total tackles. So they look good. Mac, Bosa, all of them look good, man. They look solid on defense. Mac looked good. Bosa didn't really play much, but Mac did look good. They looked good on defense. They looked physical on defense, and they snagged 4 turnovers. Also, not only that, they got to Kirk Cousins once, which is, only once. So not bad for the Falcons. They protected him good, but they got to him at least once, which is pretty good. 4 turnovers they snagged, really good for the Los Angeles Chargers. So on defense, they looked physical. They couldn't get anything going on offense, though. They were kind of sloppy on fumbles. They had a 1 fumble, so that wasn't really good, and they didn't look the best on a lot of areas. Let me go on and tell you something. The Chargers still won because special teams was better, and the Falcons just blew the game. Here is where I say that, because on paper, the Chargers lost this game on paper. They got outgained in every category. Falcons 350 compared to the Chargers 187 total yards. Passing 234 Falcons. Chargers had 131 passing. Rushing yards for the Falcons 116. Rushing yards for the Chargers 56. Yards per play 4.5 for the Falcons. Yards per play for the Chargers 4.1. So close in that, but they were 3 for 11. These are the negative circle moments for the Chargers. 3 for 11 on third down. 0% on fourth down efficiency. They had 7 penalties for 33 yards. They had that fumble, and Justin Herbert got sacked 5 times. They did not protect Justin Herbert at all in this ball game. So those are the negative circle moments. This is the performance you did not want to have going into this Chiefs game Sunday night. They have to play better on both sides of the ball. Special teams look good, and special teams was probably the reason why they won this ball game, 17-13. They found a way to win. I really like that about the Chargers. The Chargers are, 8-4. They're 8-4, and they find a way to win ball games. So they're a playoff team, no doubt. For sure. Now they got to go into a hostile environment in Arrowhead after the Chiefs coming off of a pretty hot and cold performance against the Raiders on Black Friday. They got to go to Arrowhead on Sunday night, pretty cold, and they have to, in a colder environment, in a loud and hostile environment, to try to pull off the upset against the Chiefs and go to 9-4. Jim Harbaugh is going to have to have his team ready to play this game and play probably one of their best games of the season. They have to play better than they did against the Falcons, because if they play like this against the Chiefs will win Sunday, hands down. And that's not me being negative, and it's me being truthful. They have to play better than they did in this game. They could not get a lot going on the run. J.K. Dobbins is hurt, unfortunately, but they need to get better at running the ball with Gus Edwards. Third down is a key here. 3 for 11, and they have to protect Justin Herbert. 5 sacks. They have to protect Justin Herbert. So a lot of sloppy performances here in a lot of sloppy areas, but the Chargers found a way to win this game. Sunday night, 8:20 Eastern, 7:20 Central on NBC. Sunday Night Football. Chargers at Chiefs. AFC West divisional rematch from Week 4. They got to play each other again. Tough game for the Chargers and the Chiefs. We're going to see how they do in that one, because we are covering that game Sunday night. Final score 17-13. Chargers defeat the Falcons. Let's go to the Falcons really quick before we talk about the Eagles and the Ravens. Falcons kind of blew it. Honestly, they really kind of blew it. Kirk Cousins did not have his best day. 245 yards, 24 for 39. The Falcons are 6-6, 4 interceptions, no touchdowns. Bijan Robinson played really, really well, though. 26 carries, 102 yards, and a touchdown. Tyler Aguilar, 16 yards, 8 carries. Ray McLeod had 95 yards, 4 receptions. Drake London had 86 yards, 9 receptions. Bijan Robinson had 32 yards, 6 receptions. Darnell Mooney had 20 yards, 3 receptions, and so forth. So the defense had 5 sacks, which was solid. 5 sacks and a fumble. So the defense play looked really, really good. Ellis had 6 total tackles and a sack led by him on defense. They looked physical on defense. 5 sacks. The defense was keeping them in it, but those 4 interceptions, those 4 turnovers for the Falcons did not help at all. The running game was solid. I would have relied more on Bijan Robinson running the football later in the game to help them get a win, and I think the Falcons could have pulled off that win with the 5 sacks and the physicality on defense if they wouldn't have turned the ball over so much. The Falcons, if they lose any more, they're in deep trouble of losing out on and missing the playoffs. I mean, point blank, they are, point blank, almost missing out, or missing out really on the playoffs if they continually lose games like this. They're 6-6. They came off of a blowout loss against the Broncos. They had a bye week, and then they throw 4 turnovers and end up losing to the Chargers. So not the kind of result that they wanted in this game. I felt like they had a win here. The Chargers were kind of giving it to them, but the Falcons were kind of giving it back to the Chargers. That's how I look at it in this game. The Falcons this week, they have a tough game against the Vikings. 1 Eastern, noon Central in Minnesota in US Bank Stadium in Minneapolis Sunday. Falcons at Vikings. Tough, crucial game here. Vikings are solid. They had a comeback win against the Cardinals, which the Vikings could have lost that one. Let's see how the Falcons bounce back, and let's see if they can find a way to pull off the upset here in Minneapolis. Final score of this game was 17-13. Chargers defeated the Falcons. See if these 2 teams can both bounce back after their performances on Sunday. One more game before we move on to our injury report and Bears coaching search and preview and predict the Week 14 games for the NFL slate. One more game. The game I got wrong. Eagles and Ravens. Solid game. I picked the Ravens to win because of home field advantage. The last time I picked the Eagles to win a game was against the Commanders. I picked them to lose against the Rams, and I picked them to lose against the Ravens. No more. Besides a tough team like the Lions, maybe, or maybe against another team, I don't know if I'm going to pick against the Eagles. Final score of this ball game was 24-19. Eagles 24, Ravens 19. The Eagles went off on the ground. How about Saquon Barkley? Saquon Barkley could be an MVP candidate, maybe. He's definitely, in my book, the NFC Offensive Player of the Year. That's for sure, because he is going slap off in the league. First year out of the Giants, I keep saying it, he finds a way to just go slap off, and he has been doing it on the ground. Saquon Barkley, positive circle moment again for this team. 23 carries, 107 yards, and a touchdown. Jalen Hurts, 11 for 19, 118 yards, a passing touchdown. He also had 29 yards, 9 carries, and a rushing touchdown on the ground. A.J. Brown, 66 yards, 5 receptions. Dallas Goedert, 35 yards, 3 receptions, and 1 touchdown through the air. They are missing Devontae Smith. They may miss Devontae Smith. He may be out this week as well. He's not really on the injury report, but this is some news coming out of Philadelphia. He may be out this week dealing with a hamstring injury. So thoughts and prayers are with Devontae Smith as he deals with that hamstring injury. But when they bring back Devontae Smith, it's another weapon that they can add to this Philadelphia offense, because Kellen Moore has got them rocking on offense, especially on the ground. Barkley had 10 yards, 2 receptions. So on the ground, positive circle moment, this team looks electric. They are they're creating explosive plays, and they're wearing out defenses. So, and not only that, the Philadelphia defense is starting to step up. So Vic Fangio, a round of applause. He is on our positive circle moment as well. Zach Bond had 13 total tackles and a half a sack. Nakobe Dean had 10 total tackles. Cooper DeJean had 5 total tackles. McCullum had 4. Rogers had 4. Isaiah Rogers had 4. Smith Jr. had a sack along with 8 total tackles. Josh Sweat had 5 total tackles. Jalen Carter had a sack and 4 total tackles. They looked really, really good. On defense as well. Physical on both sides of the ball. To me, they looked really, really good. Now, they did get outgained in pretty much everything, but the Eagles found a way to win. I think that, to me, that the Eagles did just enough in creating explosive plays in this game to get them the win. Because on paper, they lost, but creating explosive plays enough to the point where the Ravens couldn't stop it is what got them the win. And Saquon Barkley willed this team to win on offense. So those are some positive circle moments for this team. 140 rushing yards on the ground compared to their 166. 206 passing compared to the Eagles. Ravens had 206 passing compared to the 112 passing for the Eagles. Total yards, 372 for the Ravens compared to the Eagles, 252. And yards per play, 5.2 for the Ravens compared to their 4.7. Some negative circle moments. Positive circle moments really quick were only 2 sacks allowed, so not too bad. Efficient on 4th down, 100% on 4th down when they went for it. Some of the negative circle moments really were 4 for 12 on 3rd down. They got to get better at converting on 3rd down. I think winning on 3rd down is going to be important, especially in the later games that they play, especially as they get to the playoffs too and compete for a top seed. That's going to be important, and 8 penalties for 55 yards is crucial. Huge, absolutely huge for the Eagles in this game. Was 8 penalties and 55 yards. Could have cost them, but it didn't. But they found a will to win. This Eagles team is legit. They're legit. They went on the road, created explosive plays on the ground, and Saquon Barkley helped them win. This is a solid football team. It's a team that you don't need to look past, don't underestimate. They are a target and they are a threat in the NFL, so I would watch out for them. They went to the Super Bowl in Super Bowl 57. They want to try to go back in Super Bowl 59, and that's the way they're playing right now. So the Eagles look solid. They look like they're trying to make a run for a title, and I would not look past Philadelphia at this moment in time right now. Philly, this coming up Sunday, right now, has, on Sunday has the Panthers in Philadelphia, in Lincoln Financial Field, 1 Eastern, noon Central, Sunday against the Panthers at home in Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia. That should be a win for the Eagles in this game. So the Eagles don't need to look past the Panthers, don't get me wrong, but the Eagles are rocking and rolling right now. 24-19 was the final. Let's talk about the Ravens really quick before we conclude our Week 13 recap and go on to the other part of, for our show with the injury report and the Bears coaching search and the preview predictions for Week 14. Let's talk about the Ravens really quick. Lamar Jackson in this game did his absolute best, but you can't help getting sacked 3 times in this. Punting the ball 4 times and not converting on your drives, right? So they converted on 3rd down a lot, but that's a positive circle moment. But they really couldn't help the crucial late mistakes in this game. The defense looked really good for Philadelphia. 237 yards, 2 touchdowns, 23 for 36. Derrick Henry, 82 yards, 19 carries, 79 yards, 8 carries for Lamar Jackson. I'm going to say a huge positive circle moment. 74 yards, 3 receptions for Zay Flowers, 24.7 yards per reception. I'm going to talk about some Isaiah Likely and Mark Andrews. The tight ends really stepped up here. Isaiah Likely, 38 yards, a touchdown, 5 receptions, and Mark Andrews with incredible and clutch catches, playing like Mark Andrews of old this season. He's totally redeemed himself in the second half of this season. 11.2 yards per reception, a touchdown, and then 67 yards and 6 receptions. Mark Andrews has really come into his own for his team. At first, they were trying to find his place in this offense, and then he really redeemed himself and found his place back on the offense. Getting some yards, getting some touchdowns, and making some clutch touchdowns and clutch receptions for this Ravens offense. So positive circle moment, the tight ends with Isaiah Likely and Mark Andrews on this team. Henry was a positive circle moment. Lamar was a positive circle moment. They looked good on the 3rd down, 6 for 15 on 3rd down efficiency. 5.2 yards per play. For only 3 sacks allowed, not bad. They minimized the penalties pretty big. 4 penalties for 20 yards. They played pretty disciplined football in this go-around, and they protected the football as well. They actually beat them in time of possession with 33 minutes and 51 seconds compared to their 26 minutes and 9 seconds. Here is where the Ravens lost. The defense was out physically in their offense. Their defense was just too good, and the Ravens defense could not stop the explosiveness of Saquon Barkley in the ground game. The Eagles and Kellen Moore were just creating more explosive plays than the Ravens were. And I felt like that's where the Ravens kind of lost this game this past Sunday. I got it wrong. I'll admit. The Ravens are 8-5. Eagles are 10-2. The Ravens need to keep winning, and they need to not lose any more games because they're in a position right now where, yes, the seeding is getting lower for them as they lose. And I don't want that for the Ravens. The Ravens are a solid football team. They're on bye. So this is the last remaining bye weeks for NFL teams, and they have the last bit of it. So they have the last bye week. Next Sunday, they have a huge redemption game and bounce-back game after a bye week. They can figure out everything and move on. They have the New York Giants in MetLife Stadium in New York next Sunday, 1 Eastern, noon Central on December 15th, next Sunday. So next Sunday, at New York, the Giants, a bounce-back game on the road. Let's see if they can do that. And then after that, on the 21st, they have the Steelers in a huge rematch in the AFC North there. So final score of this game was 24-19. The Eagles defeated the Ravens. Eagles are solid, man. They're 10-2. Watch out for them in the NFL. They look really, really good right now in the National Football League. They look good. Ravens still look good. They just need to work on some stuff and figure out a way to slow down on defense and just stop those explosive plays from happening and creating those big chunk plays. So final score, 24-19. Eagles defeated the Ravens in Baltimore. Huge win for Philadelphia. Rises their stock up a lot. Let's move on, shall we? Let's move on to the Pigskin Frenzy NFL injury report. That was our Week 13 recap. Let's talk about the Pigskin Frenzy NFL injury report quickly and then move on to the hit going on around the world and around the league that has made some headlines. So, excuse me, on that one. So, Pigskin NFL injury report. 49ers running back, to start off everything, Christian McCaffrey suffered a PCL injury in the Bills game, in the snowy Bills game. The Bills won this past Sunday on Sunday Night Football. He will miss 6 weeks due to the injury, and that could mean that he will miss the rest of the regular season. Tough loss after just getting Christian McCaffrey back. It was a non-contact injury. Thoughts and prayers are with Christian McCaffrey after that non-contact injury. Hopefully he gets better and healthy, and if they miss the playoffs, he gets better for 2025, and he is ready to rock and roll. The Niners have been hit with the injury bug quite just really probably one of the worst in the NFL this year when it comes to the injury bugs. So thoughts and prayers are with Christian McCaffrey. Hopefully he heals quickly and makes a speedy recovery. 49ers running back Jordan Mason at the same time has a sprained ankle and will be placed on IR and will miss the next 4 games. So tough break in the running back room on the ground. Jordan Mason and McCaffrey both out. Thoughts and prayers are with Jordan Mason. Hopefully he makes a speedy recovery as well. Isaac Garandino will be the starting running back for the 49ers team moving forward. And Jordan Mason, hopefully he makes a speedy recovery moving forward, and hopefully he heals quite nicely. Giants defensive tackle Dexter Lawrence has a dislocated elbow. He will be placed on IR and will miss the rest of the season, as he most likely will have surgery on that elbow. He is out for the rest of the season. So thoughts and prayers are with Dexter Lawrence. Hopefully he gets ready and right for 2025 and gears up for next season. Hopefully he makes a speedy recovery. So thoughts and prayers are with him on that one. Saints athlete Taysom Hill, the Swiss Army knife, has torn his ACL and has other structural damage to his knee. He is out for the rest of the year. Thoughts and prayers with Taysom Hill. Tough break for him. They lose one of their key players on the New Orleans offense, and hopefully he makes a speedy recovery for 2025. Thoughts and prayers are with him. Tough break for him. Hopefully everything's okay and he makes a speedy recovery for 2025. So thoughts and prayers are with Taysom Hill and the Saints on that one. Commanders running back Austin Eckler has a concussion, and he has been placed on IR and will miss the next 4 games. So he is eligible to return in Week 18 for the regular season finale against the Cowboys. The Commanders, and he may return for postseason if the Commanders clinch a playoff spot, as they are fighting for one right now. So thoughts and prayers with Austin Eckler. Hopefully he heals quite nicely and everything's okay with him, and he makes a speedy recovery. Smart decision to put him on IR and to give him some rest and let him rest his head and let him be okay. You got some options in the running game with Brian Robinson as well. So thoughts and prayers are with him, and hopefully he makes a speedy recovery and they get Austin Eckler back sooner rather than later and make a speedy recovery there. Trevor Lawrence, last but not least, Trevor Lawrence. He has a concussion, yes, and he's going to heal. He has been placed on IR, and he is expected to miss the rest of the season due to that, but also expected to be out for the rest of the year due to shoulder surgery. So he will miss the rest of the year due to shoulder surgery. It was announced last night, and he is expected to have shoulder surgery in the coming weeks, and he will miss the rest of the season. Mac Jones will be the starting quarterback for this team. He signed a huge money mega deal this offseason. Trevor Lawrence did. He's about to be a father. Congratulations, Trevor Lawrence, on that. And hopefully he heals quite nicely and gets ready for 2025. So thoughts and prayers are with Trevor Lawrence. Hopefully he heals quite nicely. And that hit was rough. So we're going to talk about that here in a little bit. Thoughts and prayers with everybody on this list, and hopefully everybody heals quite nicely and makes a speedy recovery for 2025 and for the next few weeks and beyond. That was the Pigskin Frenzy NFL injury report. This is a good lead-in to what we're going to talk about with the hit, because speaking of Trevor Lawrence, I don't know if you guys saw what happened, because it was a good thing, a good segue into this segment. I don't know if you guys saw what happened in the Texans and Jaguars game, but it was really one of the dirtiest hits I've seen in quite some time. Trevor Lawrence running, he went out of bounds, got blasted with a huge late hit, and it was with the helmet. It led to a concussion on Trevor Lawrence. He has an already banged up shoulder, and he's getting surgery on that, but the concussion's got to heal first, so he's been placed on IR now. Huge hit on Trevor Lawrence. He was carted off. He was out for the rest of the game, and now he's going to be out for the rest of the season due to this hit and also due to his shoulder injury. But Texans linebacker Azeez Al-Shaair, huge hit, an illegal hit, late hit outside, and it caused a bunch of fights and between the Jaguars and the Texans in the AFC South divisional matchup here. Huge fights breaking out. We don't condone that. We don't want that to happen, but huge hit here, and it was an illegal hit. The NFL has suspended Texans linebacker Azeez Al-Shaair, and he's been suspended on that late hit. For that late hit that happened on Trevor Lawrence. Azeez Al-Shaair has been suspended due to that. So, and this is where I come in and we discuss this. I agree that he needs to be suspended. I agree. But Texas GM Nick Caserio, Texas GM, had a press conference, and I saw one of my friends sent me this. So thank you, shout out to Noah on that one. One of my friends of the show sent me a message, and it was of Nick Caserio talking about the suspension and talking about how the NFL is disciplining its players. The NFL, and he mentioned basically point blank, because it's like, okay, Azeez Al-Shaair did apologize for the hit. He apologized for all of his actions, and he apologized to Trevor Lawrence personally on that hit. It was an illegal hit. He admitted that. He admitted all wrongdoing, and he has admitted and has apologized for the hit. Fans were throwing trash on the field. It was rough. So I don't condone any of that, including the illegal hit. I believe and wholeheartedly accept that he needs to be suspended, and that is the truth. He does need to be disciplined for that hit because it was uncalled for. However, Nick Caserio said in that press conference, the Texans are not supposed to have any contact with him during that suspension. And, you know, during that suspension, because the NFL suspended him. And he was talking about having no contact, no support for him during a difficult time, because he must be going through some stuff right now after being suspended, right? He is suspended from his work, and he needs some, and they need, some players need some support in the NFL. The NFL talks about supporting its players, or they talk about disciplining its players on all actions, and he was calling them out on it because they pick and choose who they suspend and fine and discipline. Nick Caserio is 100% right. I wholeheartedly agree on that. You're going to sit there and try to twist my words around, I bet, and say that, oh, he shouldn't have been suspended. And I never said that. Azeez Al-Shaair should be 100% suspended for his hit. However, you should remain in contact with him as he is still a part of the team, and they need support also. Players need support, and they need better discipline support. Even on discipline, they need support, and they need to be checked on, and their needs need to be accommodated as well. That's with anybody that gets disciplined. That's with anybody in the National Football League. The NFL disciplines who they think should be disciplined, and they pick and choose. There's a lot of people that have done some things and that was wrong, and they have not been disciplined for it. There has been some things that people have done slightly less wrong than others, and they have been disciplined for it. It's not right. So I'm trying to figure out where the NFL's discipline policy is right now. I'm trying to figure out what the discipline and how the policies need to change. And I think they do need to change. I think they need to be equal for all parties. I think if there is something that the players need to be disciplined about, discipline them. But if there's something that they need to be disciplined that's less than, but it's still things that they need to be disciplined for, discipline them. If you're going to discipline them, discipline them. If you're not going to do it, don't do it. But choose one or the other. Don't just pick and choose, oh, I think I should discipline him. He wore green shoes, so I think we should fine him for that. What? No. You discipline them. You're supposed to discipline them when you discipline them, right? If they're doing something wrong and it's against policy, you should discipline them, whether it's a fine, suspension, whatever. This was against policy, late hit, an illegal hit. It was a player's safety in jeopardy. Yes, discipline them, suspend them, fine them, do whatever. That is what you're supposed to do. I agree with the suspension, but I think the suspension is out of whack in the NFL, and he pointed that out, and I'm thankful that he did point that out because I've seen a lot of people get disciplined and fined for the stupidest stuff, and I will wholeheartedly admit, I don't care who hears it, the dumbest stuff in the National Football League has been suspended for the dumbest stuff. And others are getting away with stuff that's worse than what people have done that were not so bad, right? And they're getting away with worse. So don't pick and choose in discipline. Don't pick and choose. Discipline your players or not. Choose one or the other. Get on one of those fine lines. But don't at all not discipline and choose and pick and choose who to discipline and who to punish, because that is not right at all. I'm a wholeheartedly agree and give those players support because players need support during times like this. So I agree with Nick Caserio. I don't agree at all with the hit, but I think the NFL does need to get better at their policy. I think Azeez Al-Shaair deserves to get suspended. He needs to get suspended, and he is owed that. They need to discipline him on that. However, they also need to work on their policy as well. So I wholeheartedly agree on that. If you want to, let me know what you guys think in the comments on X, Instagram, and let me know what you guys think overall. So moving on, before we go to our preview and predictions of these games, the Bears coaching search is quite interesting because it's really interesting only because some of the names that are being thrown out there. Matt Eberflus got fired on Black Friday after the Lions loss, and they're wondering who's next. A lot of players were outraged by the fire or outraged at Matt Eberflus. They were praising the firing because they want to move forward and win ball games. I wholeheartedly agree. So who gives them their best chance to win? That is the real question. So some of the names being thrown around in the coaching search, well, there's also Bears interim coach Thomas Brown. They are looking at him, and they will get a good look he will get a good look to take over as full-time coach for the team if he performs well for the rest of the season. And he will get that look during the offseason after their season's over with, and if he performs when coaches the team well to victory. So Thomas Brown, play caller and interim head coach, will get a good look after removing the full-time job there. So that's a name that's being linked. I've been hearing two other names. Commanders offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury, as he was a former quarterbacks coach and assistants coach at USC with Caleb Williams when Williams was there. and Williams is familiar with him. So that could be a good hire too, and it could spark a fantastic offense with the weapons they got with Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, DeAndre Swift, Caleb Williams at the helm. It's going to spark a fantastic offense with the weapons that they got up in Chicago now. So Cliff Kingsbury, the Commanders' offensive coordinator, could be a good option for the Chicago Bears head coaching job as well. And here's a name that's being linked that was a wild card that I just thought about. That's Notre Dame head coach Marcus Freeman. And the thing that's funny is about that and the relationship, excuse me, the relationship there is for Marcus Freeman is Kevin Warren, Bears president. He served as a part of the Big Ten. Kevin Warren did. He was the commissioner of the Big Ten Conference in 2000 last year. He stopped serving as the Big Ten commissioner last year and took the presidential job as for the Chicago Bears. So Kevin Warren and Marcus Freeman have a unique relationship. So that's where they're linking Marcus Freeman to as a part of an NFL job. So if Marcus Freeman decided to go pro and coach a pro team, it would be an interesting hire and a shocking hire. And I think that's an interesting name being linked and as a wild card for the job. I think, honestly, Marcus Freeman's the least likely to go, but when I say that, it's honestly like, okay, the least likely then becomes the most likely, right? So you never know, but right now, I would think he is a wild card in this, but I think an interesting name really is Cliff Kingsbury. I think that's a very interesting name that they could go after if they don't go and remove the interim tackle for Thomas Brown, but I honestly think they should go after a head coach. I like Cliff Kingsbury. I think Freeman's an interesting idea, but I really am more valuing Cliff Kingsbury, especially with the offensive weapons they got on offense currently right now. So those are my thoughts on the Bears coaching search. What do you think? And those some of the names that are coming out there now, just let me know in the comments, who do you think the Bears should hire as their next head coach? But I think right there are some very interesting names that I would think would be quite interesting for the Chicago Bears coming up. Those are some of the names being linked for the Bears next season. So that's the Bears coaching search. Let's talk about, and let's now time to preview and predict Week 14 slate of games for the NFL and the games that we are covering this week. Preview and prediction time for Week 14 in the NFL season here on Pigskin Frenzy. We're going to kick it off with the first game that we're covering, which is tonight. And it is tonight on Amazon Prime. It is the Packers at Lions. The Packers are 9-3. Lions are 11-1. Last time they played was Week 9 on November 3rd. The Lions defeated the Packers in Green Bay in Lambeau Field on that day and in that week. Packers 9-3. Lions 11-1. Something's got to give. Coming off a huge 2 strong wins off of Thanksgiving. Now they meet the next Thursday on Thursday Night Football on Prime. 8:15 Eastern, 7:15 Central. Kirk Herbstreit, Al Michaels on the call for this one. This is going to be an interesting game. Both of them are looking to get some, continue their momentum. Packers are looking to get a bounce back, get a huge win over the Lions as they beat them in Lambeau. The Lions are looking to keep up their momentum as they go to 12-1. Packers' keys are simple for this rematch. Number one, start off fast. Get this Lions defense on its heels. Start off fast. They started off fast against the Dolphins, and they looked really, really good doing it. Running the ball, throwing the ball and throwing some short passes to Jalen Reed and to Tucker Kraft, running the ball with Josh Jacobs in a balanced offensive attack. If you start off fast and be balanced about it, get him off its heels, that's a good way to win the ball game and, start off by winning the ball game there. Number two for the Packers, and the second key for them, protect Jordan Love. 0 sacks allowed versus the Dolphins. Keep up that trend. Block and protect him on the line of scrimmage, and if you are physical on the line of scrimmage and protect Jordan Love he can make some good plays, the Packers have a shot at winning this ball game. So protect Jordan Love and do what you did against the Dolphins last week and last Thursday, and you'll be fine in this ball game. The Lions have some good edge rushers with Zadarius Smith, some good blitz packages up front and up the middle, and some good DB blitz packages that they didn't see coming in the first game. So protect Jordan Love. Number three, and this is something that the Packers did well in their first game against the Lions, slow down their running game. Detroit currently is 4th in rushing offense in the league. Green Bay is currently 8th in rushing defense in the NFL. So they did really well at slowing down the run, but the Lions still got 100 plus on the ground. But if the Lions decide, hey, we're going to commit to the run more and be better at it and run it and do it effectively. If they put up more than 100 plus, like 150 plus, it's not going to be a good day in the office for the Packers. Slow down the running game and hold them to at least under 150 plus in this one. So slow down that running game and do what you kind of did in that first game in week 9. So those are the 3 keys for the Green Bay Packers in this one. Number 1 for the Lions, huge key for the Lions, force turnovers. If you can pressure Jordan Love, force turnovers, and capitalize off those turnovers, you should be fine. Jordan Love has turned the ball over. He is tied in the league for the most interceptions and most turnovers as a quarterback in the National Football League. True stat, look it up. He is tied. So if he can force some turnovers and get and capitalize off those turnovers, he should be fine in this ball game. Number 2, minimize those penalties. 6 penalties for 79 yards. If you can minimize those penalties and capitalize off that, you should be fine. Minimize those penalties, capitalize off that, and minimize them and lower those penalties, you should be fine. So just don't commit as many penalties. Be more disciplined against this team, because this is a game tonight where you got to be more disciplined. So be more disciplined, minimize those penalties. Number 3, slow down their running game. Green Bay is currently 5th in rushing offense in the league with Josh Jacobs running the football. Detroit currently is 5th in rushing defense in the league. So rushing offense, 5th. Rushing defense for the Detroit Lions, 5th. So they're both 5th in their respective categories. Something's got to give. If the defense can slow down Josh Jacobs and slow down their running game, it could be a long night for the Green Bay Packers in this one. Those are the Lions' keys. Those were the Packers' keys just a minute ago. The questions really I got in this game, honestly, if you want to think about it, are the penalties for the Lions and who's going to commit less penalties. Who's going to commit less penalties, especially for the Lions, and also who's going to force turnovers and if Jordan Love's going to get protected or not. So line of scrimmage, running game as well, but also committing less penalties. Who do I got winning this ball game? I think it's going to be a close back and forth game, kind of like it was in the first game. However, I just cannot pick against Detroit, especially at home. Giving the Lions to win this game, to squeak by with a win and sweep the season series against the Packers to go 12-1. The Lions win. It's going to be closer than last time. Lions 28, Packers 21. Lions 28, Packers 21. The Packers go to 9-4. The Lions go to 12-1. The Lions defeat the Packers and take this win at home on Thursday Night Football tonight. Next up, 4:25 Eastern, 3:25 Central, Sunday afternoon, Bills at Rams. So interesting game here. Bills coming off of a huge win against the 49ers. They clinched the AFC East division title way earlier than expected. They had they just ran away with that race. 10-2 on the year. They're the AFC East champions. They clinched a spot. They most likely will now be in the AFC playoffs. And obvious, that's an obvious answer there. And they play a team, a 6-6 Rams team coming off of a huge win against the Saints, and this is a win that the Rams really, really need. I've been pretty accurate. I only gotten one game wrong against the Rams, and that was the Eagles game. And I've been pretty accurate at picking the Rams this year. Only got one game wrong, like I said. Bills at Rams in SoFi in Los Angeles. Something's got to give here. Josh Allen is insane. That play against the 49ers when he tossed the ball, Shakir tossed the ball back to him, and he ran it in for a touchdown. That's true grit, true heart. Josh Allen is playing lights out. Conversation to be had on why he needs to win MVP, because he is playing like a madman. He's playing better than Lamar Jackson. I think the way he's playing this year, he probably could win an MVP award this year. So, Bills' keys are pretty simple. Number 1, get to Matthew Stafford. If you can get to Matthew Stafford, he's been pressured a lot. Sack him, get to him. 2 sacks versus the Saints last week, but if he can, this is which is pretty good for the Rams, but also this is a better defensive line. So if he can get to Matthew Stafford and pressure him and get to him, It's a huge win for you guys on the road in LA. Number 2, establish the running game. Buffalo is currently 11th in rushing offense in the league. Los Angeles Rams is currently 28th at stopping the run in the league. So James Cook went off in that 49ers game. If you can continue that momentum against the Rams aren't really good at stopping the run. So if he can just dice them up in the run and on the ground, you have a strong shot at winning this ball game Sunday afternoon. And number 3, win on third down. 6 for 12, 50% on third down versus the Niners. So 50%, so half and half, not bad against the Niners on third down, especially in that very snowy Buffalo, chilly Sunday night. So not bad if you could upgrade that and do better and convert on third down more and win on third down a lot. You have a strong shot at winning this game. I really think so. So win on third down, that's a strong possibility for the Bills, and those are the Bills' keys for this game. The Rams' keys are pretty simple. Number 1, force as many 3-and-outs as you can. If you can force Josh Allen in that offense to get off the field, because they have been white hot so far in these past few weeks, especially after beating the Chiefs. They've been white hot. So coming off of a bye week, beating the Niners like they did, they're white hot. And they've been white hot before the Chiefs game. So if you can find a way to slow down the Bills and get them as many 3-and-outs as you can, that'd be a huge win for this Rams defense coming up Sunday afternoon. Number 2, find a way to contain Josh Allen. He has been playing lights out on the ground, through the air, playing like a very balanced and official quarterback. Joe Brady has been utilizing him like it's nobody's business in Buffalo's offense. He has been playing like an MVP caliber quarterback this year. He could win the MVP. So in my opinion, if you can find a way to contain him and slow him down, you have a strong possibility at pulling off the upset at home Sunday afternoon. Number 3, protect Matthew Stafford. 2 sacks are allowed versus the Saints. Not bad on the line of scrimmage and for the offensive line, but this defensive line is better than New Orleans this year. I think if they can protect him from Gregory Rousseau, from Von Miller, their old teammate, and Von Miller, and getting to Matthew Stafford, that would be very, very good in this game. Avoid and limit and protect Matthew Stafford in this game so he can make big-time plays against this Buffalo defense. So protect Matthew Stafford in this one. Those were the Rams' keys. Those were the Bills' keys. I think the questions that you could have in this game really are, can they contain Josh Allen? And also for the Rams, can you protect Matthew Stafford up front so he can create those explosive plays downfield? Also, can you establish that run game against that Rams defense? And not only that, can you keep going and running the ball with Josh Allen and just continue to be white hot, right? So who do I got winning this ball game? I think this game will be close up until midway to the third quarter. I think the Rams will fight. I think the Rams and Matthew Stafford and this offense are going to create some explosive plays. I think the Bills are going to catch on late, though. However, I think the rest of the game will be for the Buffalo Bills to decide on that one. I think the Bills come away with a win against the Rams in LA. I think the Bills win it and take it. They win the game 28-17. Bills 28, Rams 17. Bills win 28-17. Bills go to 11-2. Rams go to 6-7. And I think the Bills come away with a huge win in LA and defeat the Rams to go to 11-2. And the Buffalo hype train, the Bills Mafia, keep on going. So the Bills squeak by with a win and defeat the Rams 28-17 and defeat them in LA. Sunday Night Football, Chargers at Chiefs. Huge AFC West matchup. Sunday Night Football coming up on NBC, 8:20 Eastern, 7:20 Central. Sunday Night Football, NBC, Mike Trecco and Chris Collinsworth on the call. Bet you Collinsworth is excited about that one. You already probably know the reference about Collinsworth on social media. Chargers at Chiefs, 8-4 for the Chargers. Chiefs 11-1. The Chargers won, but they need to play a lot better than they did last week to win this game. And I'll say the same thing about the Chiefs. I think they kind of got away with one last week. They need to play a lot better as well to win this game as well. It's in Arrowhead, cold environment. Chiefs, home field advantage. Something's got to give here. Let's go with the Chargers keys in this one. Number 1, you got to win the line of scrimmage battle. I think if you win up front, especially on the defensive line with Jesse Minter's defense, you can and if you win on those battles, you can come away with a win there. And especially on the offensive line after the performance he had last week too, that would be huge for the Chargers. So come away with a win on the line of scrimmage and win that battle up front on both sides of the ball, and that should be a good day, good night for you guys on Sunday night. Number 2, force turnovers. Force those turnovers. Force Mahomes to turn the ball over. He has turned the ball over quite a few times this season. So he's up there in turnovers. So turn the ball over. Force some turnovers and capitalize off those turnovers. Y'all have a solid defense to do that with Jesse Minter. You're finally coming into y'all's own with Jesse Minter on defense. Do that and force those turnovers. Number 3, win on third down. You were 3-11 for third down against the Falcons. No bueno. No bueno. That is not going to get you some good wins here, especially against the 11-1 Chiefs and the AFC West division leader. You have to, and I mean have to, win on third down and capitalize on those drives in a loud and hostile environment in Arrowhead if you're Justin Herbert and this offense. So win on third down. Huge thing there. So, excuse me. So, win on third down. Those are the Chargers' keys there. Chiefs' keys are pretty simple. Number 1, get to Justin Herbert. Get to Justin Herbert. Pressure him. Chargers had allowed 5 sacks last week against the Falcons. If Chris Jones is chomping at the bit seeing that stat, I bet. So, Chris Jones, if you're listening to this podcast and if you can hear me, 5 sacks, man. That's gonna that can be a good day for you. If they can sack him 5 times, they're gonna come up. The defense is gonna find a way to win this game if they can come up with 5 sacks. Number 2, and I can't believe I'm saying this too. Protect Patrick Mahomes. 5 sacks versus the Raiders. They were not good on the offensive side, on the offensive line side of things against the Raiders. 5 sacks against Mahomes in the They sacked Mahomes 5 times, and it was 5 sacks allowed versus the Raiders. Not good. So if he can protect Mahomes in this game, especially against a tough defensive line against the Chargers that Jesse Minter is offering against y'all with Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa, then that would be a good thing. A good thing for the Chiefs. So just protect Mahomes. Don't allow 5 sacks and protect Patrick Mahomes in this ball game. Number 3, win on third down. Y'all did pretty solid on winning on third down against the Raiders. 7 for 16 on Black Friday against the Raiders on third down. So if he can win on third down, convert those drives like he did against the Raiders, you'll find a way to win this game Sunday night in Arrowhead. Questions that I got. 1, both of these lines need to step up, and I'm talking about the O-lines. Which O-line is going to step up more? Number 2, can Mahomes protect the football, which I think I know he can, but and I know that he most likely could. And 3, who's going to win on third down more? I think this is a third down battle, and who's going to protect the quarterback more? I think those are the biggest 2 questions that we got in this ball game. Who's going to win this ball game, and who do I have winning this ball game? I think this game is going to be close. I think that right now, I think the defense for the Chiefs is really good, and I think they're going to find a way to come up with a win here in Arrowhead. Home field advantage. I like the Chiefs in this one Sunday night against the Chargers because of their defense, and I think the defense is going to find a way to get it done for them once again. So the Chiefs go to 12-1. They defeat the Chargers by a score of, I'll say 24-21. Chiefs 24, Chargers 21. Chiefs get the win and defeat them by 3. Chiefs win on defense 24-21. Chiefs go to 12-1. Chargers go to 8-5. The Chiefs defeat the Chargers in Arrowhead at home Sunday night football. Last but not least, Monday night football game that we were covering. Monday night football. We're doing Thursday night football, Sunday night football, and Monday night football. So 3 out of 4 of the NFL games this week are night games. Monday night football, 8:15 Eastern, 7:15 Central on ESPN. Joe Buck, Troy Aikman on the call. Monday night football. Bengals at Cowboys. You're thinking, wow, really? You're doing that one? I am, because I think it's quite interesting. And I'm going to tell you why it's quite interesting, because both teams Bengals are more out of it. The Cowboys are maybe out of it, but they're also 5-7, and there's still hope, glimmer of hope. So there's still glimmer of hope for both of these teams, but they got to win now, right? And they got to win now and rely on the help of others entering the later part of this season here in December. So 4-8 Bengals at Cowboys 5-7. The Bengals keep shooting themselves in the foot. They are scoring 38, 35, 38, 40, 38 points a game. And they lose. They lose because it's coaching. It's coaching. Self-inflicted errors. I told you that a coaching change may be needed in order for the Bengals. I've said that for a long time, but we're still here. Zach Taylor's still the coach. Changes have not been made yet. Joe Burrow, if he was on a winning team, he would be the MVP right now, but he's not, so I'm going to give it to Josh Allen. But anyway, the Bengals need to find a way to win this game, especially on defense. Offensively, they look solid, besides the self-inflicted errors on penalties and sacks and turnovers were crucial last. So let's go with the Bengals keys as we get ready for Monday Night Football, and then we'll go to the Cowboys keys. The Cowboys are probably just as bad as the Bengals are right now when it comes to self-inflictions, and not only that, just playing ball right now. So here is what I got. Number one, minimize the penalties for the Bengals. Minimize the penalties. 11 penalties for 108 yards versus the Steelers. You want to talk about shooting yourselves in the foot? That's the definition right there. You have to lower those penalties. With the points that you're scoring on offense, dude, come on. 11 penalties for 108 yards in an AFC North division game, that's a no bueno there. You cannot have that. 108 yards and 11 penalties versus the Steelers. You got to minimize those penalties when you're going to Dallas Monday night because you're on the road in Dallas, AT&T Stadium. You have to minimize those penalties. Number two, protect the football. 3 turnovers versus the Steelers. You have to quit with these self-infliction wounds. Defense ain't doing them any favors either. Number two, protect the football and play better and clean football. Number three, have a breakout game on defense. You got to have a breakout game on defense on all tackling, pressuring, all aspects, covering all aspects. Y'all had a really good passing defense a couple of weeks ago. I don't know to check the stats now, but Russell Wilson dropped 414 yards passing on you guys last week. You have to have better defensive play to win these ball games, and you're not doing it. You're not doing it. I don't know what's going on, but you got to have better defense, and you have to have a breakout defensive performance in this game to find that glimmer of hope and spark once again late. That's number three. The 3 keys for the Bengals are there, and it's all really about self-infliction wounds. Number 1 for the Cowboys, win on third down. 7 for 14 on third down versus the Giants. 7 for 15 on third downs versus the Giants last week on Thanksgiving. If you can do that, and Cooper Rush plays a good game like that, you can find a way to win this ball game against the Bengals Monday night. Number 2, find a way to contain Joe Burrow. Micah Parsons pressuring him. Find a way to slow him down. Find a way to get sacks, get to him, pressure him into some interceptions and turnovers. Find a way to contain Joe Burrow in this ball game because he is a solid quarterback and he is playing lights out this year. Number 3, force turnovers. If he can force some turnovers and can capitalize off those turnovers, Cowboys can find a way to seal a home win on Monday Night Football and get a strong win in this one. Those are the Cowboys' keys. Those are the Bengals' keys. The questions that I got are who is going to have less self-inflicted wounds, who's going to have a breakout game on defense, and who is going to move the ball, especially on the ground, better. That's what I want to see, and those are the main questions I have for both teams. Number 1 question, though, who's going to self-inflict the wounds the least? Who do I got winning this ball game this Monday night? I think this game's going to be close. I think that and this is my guess here, my prediction here, it's going to be a close game in the fourth quarter. I think in the fourth quarter, the Bengals are going to find a way to get it done, and they're going to have less self-inflicted wounds than the Cowboys in this one. The Bengals win close. I'm going to go with a score of 27-20. Bengals 27, Cowboys 20. I think that the Cowboys go to 5-8. The Bengals improve to 5-8. They get a huge win in AT&T Stadium Monday night, and they defeat Cooper Rush and the Cowboys. Give me the Bengals winning, and they have a small glimmer of hope, but I don't know. Bengals 27, Cowboys 20. The Bengals win it in Monday Night Football on the road, and Joe Burrow has an epic performance on Monday Night Football, and they have less self-inflicted wounds, and they need to have a breakout game. So 27-20, Bengals defeat the Cowboys on Monday Night Football. That just about does it for our latest NFL edition of Pigskin Frenzy. Our preview predictions, that was our Week 14 preview predictions. Guys, a big thank you for taking some time out of your Thursday to just sit back, watch, and listen to some NFL coverage presented by me. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, like each episode, leave comments down below. Spotify, Podbean, and Apple, all you got to do is just share around with others and follow on there as well. X and Instagram, at Pigskin_Frenzy. Type that in. Follow up the pages there. You're going to get episode updates. You're going to get news and highlights from across college and NFL football. You're going to get trivia questions on Instagram stories. Go and answer today's NFL question as well as all things up to date for Pigskin Frenzy. Guys, the website, www.pigskinfrenzy.weebly.com. All things up to date for Pigskin Frenzy coming soon on the site with the store and the affiliations page coming soon. Guys, big thank you for taking some time out of your Thursday to just sit back, watch, and listen to some NFL coverage presented by me. Enjoy tonight's NFL game on Amazon Prime Video between the Packers and the Lions. Enjoy this weekend slate of NFL games and enjoy college football conference frenzy this weekend. A loaded slate for Pigskin Frenzy here. We got to go cover some games starting within the next few hours, starting then up until Monday, Thursday through Monday of games. A lot of coverage that we got to do for this podcast. A busy weekend ahead, especially for college football and NFL football. So until Tuesday, we're going on Tuesday back at it. We're going to recap Conference Frenzy. We're going to preview and predict the Army and Navy game, and we're going to talk about our recap and go over who is in the college football playoff. This is the selection show is being on Sunday, and go over our final set of Frenzy rankings that we would have released on that Sunday before the selection show. So until Tuesday's college football edition of Pigskin Frenzy, I'm Joel Norris signing off. We will see you then on Tuesday. For everybody out there, please and always stay the course. God bless you all. We're praying for you all. As always, once again, stay the course.